the first question.
Yes.
So what's the main reason that you support or not support the teacher when they're on strike, and why? And do you think so?
Okay, so the main reason is, first of all, my answers are probably not ever going to be straightforward. So I supported the strike basically because I support teachers. And I have experienced that the two main issues of class size and composition were what really held up the negotiations. So I know I have friends who are teachers, and I know the hands-on situations that they've been in with the strikes, where they have, for one example, a friend of mine who teaches engineering, so he has shops, with complicated equipment and safety issues, and he has, every year he's been asked to take an abundance of special needs students. So the position they put him in is, will you sign this waiver, basically, that yes, I agree to take, X number of special needs students above and beyond the number I'm supposed to take. So you're in a very awkward position. You can't really say, no, I'm not going to sign that.
That's true.
So there he has, without any support, without any TAs, he's got maybe half a dozen special needs students, some of whom can really cause some major safety issues in that class. Then there are other elementary teachers I know who have huge classes, and then again special needs without the assistance that they need to have to support the special needs students. And it's so disruptive to the class going forward. So basically I do support the strike. I did support the strike. The reasons for it. And so that's the main reason I support is because of the issues that I do believe in, that the issues are problematic, and that needs to be. But I think the role should be, across our country generally, across North America generally, I think governments are very negligent in supporting education. And the whole big picture, the contexts get bigger and bigger, so there's provincial context and there's federal context, but the big social political context is capitalism, and that everything is about money. And when it becomes about money, it's all about, well, now if we're going to pay for this, then we need to see results, and how do you measure those results? So then we get all that pressure of standardized testing and measurements, and the real fact about education is that the results are intangible. And how do you know when someone has learned something? And so being able to value what learning is as an intangible element of our society, that has to really shift. So the role of the government in supporting education, there needs to be a whole lot more value put. And I mean, it costs money to educate people, so they have to start putting money into things without the expectation that this needs to have some measurable result, that it's valuable in itself.
Right.
Okay, so of the strike, okay, so the effect, what are the kind of effects for the students? I think there are two possible effects.
Yeah, because people are thinking students are the victims in this event.
Yeah, I think there's, on my side of things, I think there's an overemphasis on that. Yes, they are victims, and yes, it puts especially graduating students in grade 12 in a very awkward position, with uncertainties. They're already facing a whole big set of questions. But in a certain sense, I think students there's a freedom also that comes with the strike, with not being in school. And we always say that you learn more out of school than you do in school. That's a common kind of phrase, and that's an interesting phenomenon. So on the other side, is it really, I'm not sure if it's really that much of a disadvantage. Yeah.
And so what's your comment for this agreement at the end, and are you satisfied for this?
Yeah, it was the longest strike, and again, that goes back to I think the timing of it, the length that they drew it out was not necessary. I think it could have been resolved in different ways, possibly. For example, there could have been a resolution that allowed teachers to go back to work and students to go back to school, but kept a clause in the agreement saying we're going to keep this one issue open and try to resolve it over the next 2 years or whatever. But to accept a certain kind of working agreement.
Yeah.
I didn't answer the good example, bad example.
Yes.
Teachers, that's a very interesting question. Kind of a loaded question. An example. So it's both. They're setting a good example because they're standing up for what they believe to be necessary for education to take place in a good way. Is it bad? Is it a bad example for students? I don't know.
I know.
You're not allowed to offer your opinion, are you?
Yes.
For this. Yeah. It's interesting. I'd like to talk to students and see what they feel about it.
Yeah, because I decided some questions for the student, especially for the graduate students. They suffer a lot for this exam. Yeah, if you are still in the primary or elementary school, it's fine. But if you are in the grade 12, grade 11, they're really stressful. You're on your way to graduation, so that particular stream of students was affected probably most of all. Yeah, I think it actually ended up being resolved fairly. Okay.
Quite fairly.
Yeah.
And in the end, they did actually keep that composition class size open. So, so I guess that will still be an issue in the future to try and resolve.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't get to that earlier.
Okay.
I would say the job of a teacher is to deliver the curriculum that the government has mandated in the public school system or the private school system. And I think that a teacher is only one part of the education of a child. I think they provide that as best they can with the tools they have, and I think that the parents are ultimately responsible for the education of their child.
I have 3 kids. 3 kids are 13, 11, and 8.
Okay, are they all in private school or public school?
They're all in public school.
All in public school. As a teacher.
I think that teachers are part of a broad education of a child. I think that teachers spend a ton of time with the kids, and so they're a very key component of the education of children, especially in our culture. I think we're set up to do that, and our education system is set up to have teachers as a bit of a focal point. I don't think that abdicates parents' responsibility or community's responsibility, but the teachers definitely have a lot of time with them, and it's a very important role.
I think because I have a lot of friends who are teachers that there's a lot more that teachers invest than they are paid back for. They spend a lot of extra time on their own, marking, planning field trips and doing things that are really exciting for the kids that are outside of what they have to do. And they invest a lot of their own personal money in incentives and helping kids out when they need things, and I think that outweighs what they're actually paid to do and what they receive. I don't think it's ideal, but I think it shows you where teachers' hearts are. They really want to help the kids, and they will sacrifice their own money to provide what's needed. But I think that educating children, like I've said, I think it's the primary role of the parent, but I also think it's for the community. So if schools are lacking in supplies, we have to balance taxes, volunteer time. What are we willing to put into the system, because it's not going to pay for itself. Everything is done at a cost. So teachers are front line, they see what the needs are, and so they are probably more putting in because they see it. The rest of us don't. So we send our kids to school, we think everything's provided for, but it's not without a cost.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's always that's a bit of a tough one to answer. I think there's kind of two sides to that coin. I think they're in the public sector. There's a lot of benefits to the the time off, those kind of things that the public would look at. And I think in the compensation side, there's always comparisons against other provinces and who's making what. I think it's a difficult one to fully wade into. I don't know all the issues with it. I do have a lot of friends who are teachers, and I think that they definitely earn what they make. They put in a lot of extra time, particularly in extracurricular stuff, with sports and things like that. So I would think in a lot of respects it's the private sector. There's a lot of things they have that are good benefits to them. So I think they're treated fairly. Okay. And I don't know totally the subtleties of what they were fighting for. I think overall in the public sector, I deal in the public sector a lot, and I know there have been a lot of big increases there. There's been a lot of large percentage increases anywhere. So I also understand the argument that if they're not everywhere, then the teachers probably shouldn't get large increases if everybody in healthcare, for instance, aren't getting a lot of large increases.
My top concern, if the strike was ongoing, would be kids' skills falling back, just their reading and math, and the progress that was made in the previous year, and missing parts of their education for the year ahead. So parts of the curriculum that will not be able to be covered because that time is now gone.
We would have had, I mean, two things. One would have been probably the sanity of my wife. She might have gotten it was tough to have them around and trying to work and all that stuff. But joking aside, the big things are the education side of it. Is, I know research-wise that as kids take time off, they take kind of mini steps backwards. So obviously, the more time that they're off, the more that's going to impact them in terms of how sharp their skills are, whether it's math or spelling or those kind of things. So I'd probably be most concerned about them falling behind. I have to admit, I probably wasn't as concerned as somebody who had kids that were in high school or a little bit older grades. Our kids are still pretty young, and I think they can make up some of that time. The strike continuing wouldn't have been a great thing.
That's a tough question. I think I view the strike as a failure of the parties to negotiate. I think it could have gotten solved sooner, but I think pride gets in the way, and it's gone too far. So I support the kids getting what they need, and I think that both parties need to give for that to happen. I think I can understand how parents feel because their children aren't represented by a union.
Yes.
There's nobody negotiating for them other than teachers negotiating for what they feel and parents putting pressure on the government for what they want. So I can understand parents feeling that way. I do think that they're the ones taking the worst impact of the strike because they're the ones that are missing. At the end of the day, teachers are missing money primarily. But kids are missing an opportunity that they may never get back.
Especially for the graduate students, they are applying for the college, right?
Yes, yeah. So I think there's key things there that can't be recovered. Whereas money, we can make more money and stop that gap, but you can't do that in education as easily.
I think it's I would probably say it's complex. Yeah. I think there's a lot of layers to it, and there are a lot of, I think, very justifiable arguments on every side. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of, I think, feelings on the teacher's side that promises haven't been kept. And I could understand how that would be irritating over time, and that some people would forget some of those things. So I appreciate that. I think I always feel for the teachers because I have a number of friends that do a lot of extracurricular stuff, and I know they put in a lot of time. But on the other side, I think that at times I also have heard stories of people getting involved in teaching as a profession because it's an easy job. You get great pay, great benefits, and you can kind of come in and you don't have to work very hard. So I think there could be also a case of a few bad apples spoiling the whole lot. So a lot of angles on it for sure. I think you get a few. I think, like I said, I think there tends to be two extreme views on it. I think we remember the teachers that are awesome teachers that put a lot of time and effort into the kids that do the extracurricular. I mean, to be honest, that's the majority of my image with teachers. But I have to admit, too, there is a part of me that wishes that some of, like I said, some of the bad apples and the ones that kind of come in and coast and aren't great teachers and are protected by the union and they can't get fired and those kind of things. That one for me is a little bit tough. I think there needs to be a few more mechanisms that people that genuinely aren't good at their jobs should be moved just like any other place.
Yeah, I heard a lot of the teachers, they would like to go back for teaching, but because the union, they don't allow them, so that's why the strike takes so long.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I think is was really difficult to ascertain in the strike was what degree was it the teachers really feeling this, and what degree was it a small group that are heavily in the union? You know, and I don't know.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Carrie, and I'm doing this for Fabian's questions. So first one, what did you do during your teacher on strike? Did you enjoy the time? Yep. I hope the strike can go longer, and I really enjoy like while we have no class, and so basically I just play with my friends, play basketball, hang out with my friends during the strike. Yeah, I wish teachers can go strike one more time. Second one. Do you know how your parents feeling during teachers on strike? Have you heard any comments from them? Well, yeah. Obviously, my parents, they were not happy about teachers strike because we don't study and we just like hang around at home, and my parents think I'm lazy and stuff. Yeah, and yeah. Okay, third one. Have you ever heard any voices about the strike or government from your teachers before they went on strike? Well, I don't really know about this stuff. Yeah, and I didn't hear anything from my teachers. So one day I woke up and my parents told me that there's no school today, and so therefore I was really happy. Yeah, and that's it. Number 4, what's your feeling about teachers on strike? Does it have any effect on you? Well, to be honest, I don't feel anything, and I actually I don't like to go to school, so it's my feeling is really good. Yeah, and does it have any effect on me? I would say probably yeah, but only on academics. Yeah, but I think everything's gonna be fine, and yeah, but otherwise like there's no much effect on me. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's pretty much. Thank you guys.